Wisconsin Broadcasters Association Hall of Famer Bob Berry ruled Milwaukee's airwaves in the 60s and 70s. He spoke with countless musicians and celebrities over the years. Bob collected remarkable recordings of these encounters, which he's now sharing with the public. Here's Bob.
Leonard Nimoy, Mr. Spock on Star Trek, told me that the makeup for his part took hours to apply. They had scientific people who worked on the show and developed scripts that they felt could actually come true someday. Leonard explains all of that and talks about what it felt like to play his part in Mission Impossible and Star Trek.
Leonard Nimoy, former star of Mission Impossible, Star Trek, and what else, Leonard?
Well, those are the things that most people know me from, but before I did Star Trek, I did about 125 episodes of various other shows and about a dozen movies. Nothing worth talking about. Just a lot of work.
I often wondered if you enjoyed doing Mission Impossible.
I did. Mission was a good spot for me coming out of Star Trek because it gave me a chance to do a lot of different characters. And I did them all, the European dictators and the South American revolutionaries and the con men and the blind men and the old men and all that stuff.
Well, you're a scary guy.
And after I did 2 years of it, I felt I'd had enough, and I asked them to let me out because I wanted to start doing some traveling and work on the road. So they let me out, and I've been moving ever since.
How long does it take to put on some of that scary makeup?
Well, the makeup takes maybe a couple hours in some cases, maybe longer. It depends on what it is. If it's a very complicated job, it might take 4 or 5 hours.
Leonard, do you know if any devices and plots used on Mission Impossible actually come close to resembling anything in real life in our government, let's say with the CIA and other spy organizations?
A lot of them do, but people don't realize how sophisticated some of the espionage equipment is today. They have microphones that are so tiny that you can plant them in anything, for example, and recording equipment that's minute, and they're using in some cases heat equipment, which can tell by the change in temperature in a pane of glass whether or not somebody comes in or out of the room. You can be across the street and train this equipment on like a camera on a pane of glass in a building across the street, and if somebody leaves that room, the temperature in that glass will change so you know that the person has left the room or come into the room and the temperature heats up. They can actually use a pane of glass as a microphone. You don't even have to plant a microphone in a room anymore. You can use a pane of glass, the vibrations on a pane of glass to pick up the conversation in the room. So a lot of the espionage equipment has become so sophisticated. The stuff that we've been doing on Mission Impossible is not only in use, but in many cases it's already out of use and been improved by other devices.
Do plots like those on Mission Impossible happen between countries in real life, do you think?
I think they do, yeah. I think they do. We don't get to hear about them very often because what happens is that neither side, when it's exposed, when it's found out about by one of the other governments that's involved, they don't want anybody to know about it because the country that's been doing it doesn't want anybody to know that they've been doing it, so they don't boast about it, and the company that's caught them doesn't want anybody to know about it either because then they have to reveal by doing that there was information gathered without them knowing it, so they'd be embarrassed. Both sides would be embarrassed if the public knew about it, so they tend to keep those things pretty quiet.
Well, the agents then portrayed in Mission Impossible don't really exist. I mean, you're not...
No, these are not based on any specific individuals. These are all fictional characters, but there are people who do this kind of work.
How close is Star Trek as far as a sneak peek at the future?
Well, I think Star Trek is very close. The whole the construction of all of the equipment, the ship, the guns, the radio equipment, and so forth was all gone over by some very professional, very highly placed scientific people on the West Coast, and all of it was given a go-ahead on the basis that it was all potential possibility. That none of it was actually out of the question. That all of these ideas were based on sound scientific theories that could eventually be developed.
Do you like to read spy novels, mysteries,
Very much. No, I tend to do all of that when I'm working. I read those scripts, and that's enough for me. What I like to read is newspapers and magazines to keep up on what's happening in the real world today. I get my fantasy out of the scripts that I work in.
Leonard, I don't want to take any more of your time. Thanks a lot for calling.
Okay.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bob Berry.
thank you for listening to Bob Berry's Unearthed Interviews. Be sure to subscribe and rate our podcast on iTunes or wherever you find your podcasts. You can find all the episodes at wisconsinbroadcastingmuseum.org. Check out Bob Berry's book, Rock and Roll Radio Milwaukee. Book sale proceeds support Angels Kids Fund and Donate Life Wisconsin. The preceding program was made possible by a generous contribution from Terry Barnes.